Living in a suburban neighborhood should feel safe and predictable. But my life quickly became anything but that once I noticed my packages started disappearing. At first, it was small things: an Amazon box with some snacks, a new set of earbuds, a couple of books I'd been looking forward to reading. I assumed maybe the delivery drivers had misdelivered them, or perhaps I had left them somewhere else. But the more packages I ordered, the more obvious it became that someone was deliberately taking them. I started keeping a running list of every delivery and noticed a clear pattern. No matter how early in the day the packages arrived, by the afternoon they were gone. I tried talking to neighbors casually, hoping someone had noticed something, but all I got were shrugged shoulders and polite, "Oh, that's weird" comments. No one seemed to suspect that it was a person from our very own community, someone I passed every day without realizing the mischief brewing behind their smile. The situation began to affect my daily life. I found myself constantly checking the porch, making multiple trips to retrieve packages immediately after they were delivered, and even changing delivery instructions to hide the packages behind potted plants or in corners that were less visible. Despite my best efforts, more items kept vanishing. The frustration of being powerless in my own home made me start looking for other solutions. I researched porch security cameras and motion sensors, and I even experimented with hidden doorbell cameras that would record anyone who came close. Finally, the day came when I could see who the thief was in real time. There she was, Karen, a well-known figure in the HOA who always seemed obsessed with rules, cleanliness, and appearances. I watched in disbelief as she nonchalantly walked onto my porch, glanced around as if making sure no one was watching, and simply picked up my package. My jaw dropped. The person everyone trusted to enforce neighborhood standards and who had the loudest voice at HOA meetings was the very person sneaking my deliveries in her car like a seasoned thief. I had always suspected some of my neighbors were nosy or petty, but I never imagined someone in a position of influence would be so brazen. I spent the next few days analyzing the footage repeatedly, trying to make sense of it. How could someone act so entitled and shameless, thinking they could get away with stealing from their neighbors right under their noses? It was infuriating to know that while I followed all the rules, paid my dues, and kept to myself, someone else in the same community was violating trust without hesitation. My frustration grew every time I saw her smiling face at HOA meetings, lecturing about parking violations or trash cans, oblivious to the fact that she herself had broken one of the most basic social contracts, respecting other people's property. At this point, I had a question that wouldn't leave my mind. Why did someone like Karen feel it was acceptable to steal from neighbors and act as if nothing had happened? Was it pure entitlement, or did she just enjoy the thrill of getting away with it? The more I thought about it, the more determined I became to find a solution that didn't involve confrontation in front of witnesses. Karen was known to twist stories to make herself look innocent, and a direct argument could quickly escalate, making me appear irrational or overly sensitive. I needed a plan that would expose her actions in a way that couldn't be denied, without putting myself at risk of retaliation. It was stressful living day to day, wondering which package would be taken next and whether anyone else had noticed. Every delivery made me anxious, and I realized that my sense of peace in my own home had been compromised by someone else's selfishness. I decided it was time to take control of the situation and think strategically about how to ensure that Karen could no longer make a habit. After days of frustration and careful observation, I decided it was time to take matters into my own hands. Confronting Karen directly seemed risky. She had a knack for turning situations around to make herself look innocent, and I wasn't eager to spend the next HOA meeting defending myself while she smiled smugly from the front row. I needed a clever, harmless way to catch her in the act and give her a taste of her own entitlement. That's when I discovered glitter bombs online. Small, harmless devices designed to explode with a burst of glitter when a package is opened. It was perfect, messy, surprising, and completely legal. I imagined Karen's face covered in bright glitter, with no way to deny what had happened. The plan felt both thrilling and satisfying, a way to reclaim control over my deliveries and finally teach her a lesson without risking confrontation or legal trouble. I carefully prepared the fake package, choosing an item I knew would tempt her, something moderately expensive and attractive, so she wouldn't hesitate to take it. I double-checked the placement on my porch to make sure it looked natural, just like all the other deliveries that had mysteriously vanished over the past weeks. Then, I sat back and waited, trying to appear nonchalant while my heart raced with anticipation. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about restoring a sense of order and fairness in my own home. The entire neighborhood could see the package, making it tempting enough for someone like Karen to strike, and I knew that the security camera I had installed would capture everything. I had done my homework, checked the angle, ensured the camera was recording, and even tested the motion sensor to make sure nothing would be missed. Everything was in place for the perfect reveal. Later that afternoon, I spotted her from inside my window. Karen approached casually, as if she had no idea what was waiting for her. She glanced around briefly, then bent down to pick up the package, with that same smug grin that had frustrated me so much. My anticipation grew. Every step she took closer to her car was another beat in the countdown of her inevitable surprise. As she opened the box, I watched the glitter burst into the air, sparkling like a chaotic rainbow in the sunlight. Karen froze in shock, glitter covering her hands, her clothes, and her hair. I couldn't help but laugh quietly as I observed the scene from the window. Her perfectly composed persona replaced with pure confusion and disbelief. It was messy, chaotic, and exactly the kind of harmless, hilarious justice I had envisioned. The aftermath was even more satisfying. Karen had no way to deny the footage on my security camera, and the glitter was impossible to clean up quickly. She arrived home with sparkles stuck to her clothes, her hair shining unnaturally in the sun, and even some on her car. By the next morning, the story had traveled quickly through the neighborhood. Whispers about the glitter package incident filled conversations, and even other HOA members started viewing her in new light. For once, her aura of entitlement and control was challenged, and I felt a deep sense of relief. My packages were no longer a source of anxiety, and Karen had been taught a lesson in a way that was both memorable and safe. Sometimes, it takes creativity and a little patience to handle difficult neighbors. The glitter bomb wasn't just revenge, it was empowerment. It reminded me that even in a community filled with rules, appearances, and social politics, fairness and justice can prevail if you approach problems strategically. Most importantly, I could finally enjoy my deliveries again without fear, knowing that my boundaries were respected and that even someone as audacious as Karen could not get away with crossing the line. It was a lesson for her, a victory for me, and a reminder that clever thinking often beats confrontation when dealing with people who think the rules don't apply to them.